The sport of surfing has changed significantly since the original release of this book, but in a sense, it hasn't changed at all. I realized that on the morning of January 28, 1998, when Ken Bradshaw made big wave history. He was 45, a full 10 years older than when I first interviewed him. At a time when most athletes have long since retired, he was at the peak of his powers. As I reflected upon the other great surfers detailed in these pages, I saw the same timeless qualities. Mark Fu has passed on, a casualty of Mavericks, the feared big wave spot in Northern California in 1994. But the others have persevered, only improving in status and performance. That's what brings me back to the waves and the people who ride them year after year. Surfing is for life. Keiki Road, not far from Waimea Bay on the north shore of Oahu, is my personal surfing landmark. I was sleeping in a small cottage there in 1986 when a midnight rogue wave destroyed it, beyond repair, with me inside. I was strictly a mainstream sports writer then, deeply connected with Hawaiian surfing, but awestruck by its legends. My experience that night gave me something to share. If anything, it heightened my fascination with big waves, and it led to a series of interviews with the North Shore's most committed surfers, not the touring professionals or visiting superstars, but an elite group within that realm, the ones who live in Hawaii and base their entire existence around riding mountainous, terrifying surf. I'll never forget meeting Bradshaw in '88. His commanding presence and articulate nature were riveting to behold. As a brash, sometimes temperamental figure, he was not universally popular. A lot of North Shore surfers resented him, even placed him in the old hat over the hill category. How wrong they were. That raging fire still burned within Bradshaw, and he proved it that morning in '98 when he captured the largest wave ever ridden on Oahu. Yes, quite a bit had changed. 10 years before, big wave surfing was all about Waimea Bay and conventional equipment. Now Bradshaw had joined the tow-in movement, where surfers are strapped onto their boards, much like windsurfers, and thrown into open ocean swells like a slingshot, water ski style, from an accompanying power boat. The idea is to match a giant wave's speed, to execute a takeoff that would not be possible under a surfer's own power. In 1995, Bradshaw was a wide-eyed novice as he joined Darrick Doerner and Laird Hamilton on an unforgettable tow-in session at 25-foot outside backyards. Now, he was primed and ready. With the expert help of his longtime partner, Dan Moore, Bradshaw hopped aboard a 40-foot wave at outside log cabins, rode it beautifully, and set new standards on the fabled North Shore coastline. As always, Keiki was my measuring stick. In 1969, the year of the largest swell of modern history, houses were literally moved across the highway. In 1986, I became an official spokesman for Keiki Chaos, and now there was Big Wednesday '98. When I heard there had been extensive damage on Keiki early that morning, I knew it would be one of those frightening but memorable days in Hawaii. I figure I've spent more than 3 years of my life on the North Shore since my first visit in 1974, enough to see some incredible things. Special acknowledgement goes to the Kolanas, the Hoes, the McNamaras, Johnny Boy Gomes, Tony Moniz, Bruce and Andy Irons, Sonny Garcia, Shane Dorian, Ross Williams, and the other contemporary geniuses of all-around Hawaiian surfing, and to such less recognized talents as Terry Ahu, Dennis Govea, Mel Pu'u, David Cantrell, Kerry Terrakina, Dennis Pang, Archie Kalepa, Jeff Johnson, and an endless list, really, of surfers who truly distinguish themselves in island waters. I've always felt they should be earning huge salaries from their surfing alone, because in all of sports, nothing compares to taking a 20-foot drop, pulling into the tube over a mass of sharp, unforgiving coral, and emerging unscathed. For sheer courage and athletic ability, I'll stack that up against anything you can name. A word about wave size. The Hawaiian scale, measured from trough to peak before cresting, is used in all cases. If you hear 4 to 6 feet, think 10-foot faces. 10 to 12 means 20-foot drops on the sets. I used to resent this curious system. It accurately gauges the waves as they travel through open ocean, but ignores the actual face size when they arrive on shallow reefs and become fully vertical.